That's good. Okay, so I have to read the public meeting notice. The committee commission chair language pursuant to recently adopted amendments to the Illinois Open Meetings Act included in Public Act 101-0640, public bodies may in certain circumstances hold entirely virtual public meetings without a quorum physically present in any one location. Governor Pritzker's Executive Order 2021-15 has extended through August 21st, 2021, or actually September 1st today. Accordingly, this meeting of the Council for Inclusion and Community is being conducted virtually with members participating through the Zoom webinar platform. Administrative intern Emily Spangler is in the Village Hall conference room as required by the Open Meetings Act. Yeah, I think that's it.
Yep, it is. So I will do roll call.
Okay, great.
Okay, Clark.
Here.
York.
Here.
Flanagan.
Here.
Reverend Gary.
Here.
Guzman is absent. Molly.
Present.
Moses.
Here.
Myself.
Here.
Ruben.
Here.
Scott.
Here.
Young.
Here.
Cool. And Carrie and I are here as well. So cool. Thank you.
Great, thank you. I have some more stuff to read in here, I just noticed. As noted, today's Council for Inclusion and Community is being conducted as a virtual meeting via Zoom webinar software. A quorum of members are present via remote access. To help facilitate this meeting, members of the public are muted and should remain muted during the meeting. As required by law, I will ask for a roll call rather than voice votes on any agenda item requiring a vote. In accordance with the supplemental rule, the board approved on April 6th. Oh, okay, nope, sorry, never mind. I think that's it. That is the wording I had to read. Sorry, there was a lot of stuff around it that I had to read last time. The first thing on the agenda is approval of our meeting minutes from August 4th.
Yes. Can I interject for a second? So accidentally, by my own fingers, typed that Anise was present yet absent at the same time. And that was my fault in the minutes because she joined later. So I re-uploaded that online. So that is on me, but Anise was present. So.
Okay, great. All right. So do we have a motion to approve?
I so move.
Second.
Great. May I have a roll call, please?
Okay, 1 second, sorry. Okay, Clark.
Yes.
York.
Yes.
Flanagan.
Yes.
Gary.
Yes.
Guzman is not here. Molly.
Yes.
Moses.
Yes.
Myself.
Yes.
Ruben.
Yes.
Scott.
Yes.
Young.
Yes.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you. At this time, if there is a member of the public who would like to make a comment about something that is not on the agenda, I will ask that if they would like to comment about something that is not on the agenda to either hold their hand up or press *9 if they're joining by phone. The village's public comment rules limit comments to 3 minutes. Did we receive anything by email before the meeting started, Emily?
No, we did not.
Okay. And doesn't look like we have any public comments right now on anything that's not on the agenda. So we can start with our agenda items. Before we start with the agenda, there are a couple of things I wanted to cover with the group, and some of you are already aware and some of you may not be aware. Maureen, one of our council members and our vice chair, has resigned from the forum. And she was here for 4 years, and she has made a lot more than just 4 years of impact in the Glencoe community. So I just wanted to let everyone here know, in case you haven't heard, which will bring us to another position that is open. So if you have anyone approach you, would like to be interested in joining our council, please direct them to our website so they can submit the application. The sooner we can fill it, the sooner we can be threes again. Otherwise, for the Open Meetings Act, we have to again start working in twos. So I just wanted to put that out there. I don't know if there is any interest that you have heard, but this would be a good time to start looking for another member on our council. Any questions on that? Okay.
I'd just like to say to our committee, our council, saddened to hear that Maureen decided to resign, but do want to thank her for her being an advocate for this community for so many years. And we just want to continue to lift her up, her family up. Even though she's not on the council, she's still very supportive of our agenda and mission. And I just didn't want that just to slide by without really recognizing all of her efforts and gifts and talents that she did bring to our council, especially when we were dormant and then restarting and just being very energetic about everything. So I just want to give her kudos and some accolades for the work that she has done.
Thank you, Reverend Gary.
That's very nice.
That was very sweet.
I agree. Whenever I worked with her on anything, she was always really helpful. And as you say, I think even when somebody comes off, doesn't mean they aren't a friend of the council, and then therefore obviously part of our voice. Just one quick question. Just remind me, somebody needs to come on to the council. They need to live here versus possibly work here in any capacity. Okay, great.
Yes,
Thanks.
they need to be a
Thank you.
Glencoe resident.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
I just want to add really quickly that, Maureen is why I'm here. She's my friend, she's my neighbor, and I adore her, and I'm very sad that she left, but I'm excited for her to have more time with her family. And yeah, she will be missed, but she just came by and dropped something in my my mailbox, so I know I'll be seeing her. So yeah, she's great. Love her.
That's great.
All right. The next thing I just wanted to bring up was our Open Meetings Act. We will need to be a little bit now careful following it. I know we're all used to working in groups of 3. We just have to remember that we have to just be aware that until we have another council members, we will need to be working in groups of 2. So just, I know it's something that we just forget, but we just want to kind of be cognizant of that. And now we can jump into our first topic, which is.
Dipti, can I just ask a question really quickly?
Sure.
This is like kind of a nitty gritty open meetings question that we might have to do some research on, but with the farmers market, we have usually 2, 3 of us sitting around the table, manning the table. But is that okay or permissible because it's in a public forum and everyone's invited? Or I just want to make sure we're not inadvertently stepping in it.
So the way I understand it, and Emily and Gary Rubin can certainly jump in, but the way I understand it is, at least when I was there at the farmers market, it was only 2 people at a time. And if we happened to be 3, we weren't discussing any council business. So if we're not discussing council business, certainly we can always gather together and meet. But if we are discussing council business, then we would then it would be considered like breaking the act in some way. So Gary, hopefully I have articulated that correctly.
That's my understanding. You know, three of us can be talking about things unrelated to the council, but if we're talking about council business, it falls within the Open Meeting Act. So we would staff the booth with 2 people. Otherwise, we would need to post it in advance as an open meeting. Pretty sure that's the rule.
Yeah. So just going forward, something you want to, keep in mind, or, I mean, even if 3 are there, like I said, we could, Reverend Gary and I talked about our dogs. So hopefully that answers your question, Hillary. Okay, so the first thing I wanted to address was our upcoming event. I know everyone's very excited because it's coming up next week on Thursday, September 9th, 7 p.m. at the Writers Theater. We're going to have our second town hall in person, and we have had a lot of action on it. We have a wonderful group of panelists, and we have a wonderful group of council members who have been working very hard. And I want to thank each one of you here today, because I know in some way you've added value and provided input. And, it's been really nice that even with Amy having her surgery, Amy's still been driving it, which I think is great. Reverend Gary has, some updates, and Vivek and Reverend Gary have been working very, very closely with Amy, kind of being out of the office for a bit. So I've been completely involved with it, and I see how it's going, and I think it is going to shape up really nice. We're going to have a really nice in-person, good dialogue. Each one of you, I hope you're marketing this event with your friends, family, neighbors, street, and anybody else that you know, so that we can have more people attend. And with that, Reverend Gary, if you would like to provide updates.
All right, just to recap, the subcommittee of this town hall series is Sister Amy, Vivek, Raphael, and myself. We've been led by the female of our group, Miss Amy, and we're so glad that she's here in the meeting on today. We want to thank Vivek for the flyer that he has done. We want to thank the council group for meeting at Farmers Market and getting the word out about this town hall series. We want to thank the village staff for putting it out on the email blast and on the website. We have vetted the panelists, all 3, shared some of the logistics as it relates to how the program is going to run and their engagement. We did an on-site walkthrough today with Writers Theater, making sure what they provide, they will, and what we need to provide, that we will. So just want to give a quick snapshot for everyone that we're asking the subcommittee to meet at Writers Theater by 5:30 on September the 9th. By 5:30, we're going to ask the council and volunteers to meet at Writers Theater by 6 o'clock. Writers Theater will open up its doors to the public at 6:30, and we have asked our panelists to arrive at Writers Theater 6:30, no later than 6:45. We have did a brief draft outline of how the series will go. We will have the gathering, of course. Well, let me pause. And upon the entry of Writers Theater, let me give you all a picture. There will be a table. We will have the Village of Glencoe tablecloth there. Upon the table will be a sign-in sheet. We're asking everybody to sign in. Lady Emily from the village will provide us with the sign-in sheet, as well as name tags and Sharpies for people to put their names and put it on their chest, so we get a chance to identify each other and get to know each other. We will need approximately 2 to 3 council members to staff that table. Y'all can think about it as we continue to talk through this program. Then we need a couple more council people to be greeters and to help guide our audience participants to the atrium of Writers Theater. At the lower part of Writers Theater's atrium will be a podium, a mic, and 3 chairs for our panelists. There will be a tripod provided by Writers Theater to hold a tablet. And I believe Richard, and I forgot Richard's last name, I met him today, will man our live Zoom of this series.
Could I interrupt really quick?
Yes, ma'am.
Sorry, I don't mean to cut you short.
You're good.
So just to clarify for everybody, Rich McGowan, I won't be there because I'll be at a conference next week. So Rich McGowan from Public Works is going to be staffing with you guys. Essentially what we're working out, like Reverend Gary is saying, that it will be live. It'll be also through the Zoom. You can like share it on Facebook too, which is really cool. So we'll be doing both. We're going to be trying, Rich is going to try to manage comments that may be coming in possibly. And we're also going to be recording it. So for people that miss it, we can put it on the website and also our YouTube, and it will be archived, of course, on the cloud and also Facebook. So we have a lot going on. So I just wanted to share everybody with that. So there will be like an iPhone probably, and then Rich will have the laptop set up so the Zoom is active and he can actively manage comments. So just in case you're wondering about the logistics. Anyway, please continue.
So
Thank you for that update and sharing. Dipti will open us up.
Sorry, Reverend Gary, one quick before for that same thought about questions. If we can just channel everything that is coming through our moderators, who's like going to be Reverend Gary and Vivek, then that would be great. So in-person audience, as well as anything coming on Zoom, if we can work with Rich to have that channel through our 2 moderators, then we can keep it a little bit in. Yes, Vivek.
So I was just going to say that I set up a Slido, I guess QR code. So anyone that comes, whether they're remote or in person, if they just grab their phone, either type in the code or use the QR code, they'll be able to submit questions in real time, live, and even anonymously. They'll come to, I guess since I said it, it'll come to my phone or my laptop, and I'll have it there. So Reverend Gary and I can take a look at the questions as they come in. I think that's probably a little bit easier to manage than to have yet another person looking at the chat. Again, just to streamline it, I'll have the QR code printed. So at the table that Reverend Gary's been talking about, either someone can scan their phone there, or it takes 5 minutes to print them out and cut them up and have them on every chair if we wanted. So we can do that as well. So
just to be clear, the QR code that you have right now is for the people that are going to be there in person.
Nope, it can be remote as well.
So how do we communicate that to people who are going to be joining via Zoom?
It's either a QR code or an actual, you just go to slido.com and I'll give you a 6-digit number, for example.
So what I was getting to is that when we have the link to the Zoom, that is going to be published in our newsletter on Friday, can we give that 6-digit code along with the Slido website so people can have that ready in case if they want to use that to submit questions?
Yeah, so a lot of that is going to be in Vex and my script as we are moderating, so that we could constantly remind people where to go, how to do.
Yeah, and I can give that to you in advance. I have it right now. It's 773-338. If they go to slido.com and just type that number in, it'll bring us to our meeting, and any questions that they pose will only come to us. So when you put the invite out, Emily will include that, for Q&A. Here's the Slido number that they need. So either in person, they can just grab their device. That way we're not passing mics around. Everyone has a device. They can hit the QR code, submit questions anonymously. And those that are remote can do the exact same thing. It'll all come into the same place.
Okay, great. And that, Emily, you're good with that? You can just get all the information from Vivek later then.
Yes, that
Okay,
works. I think
perfect.
that's more
Thank you.
efficient.
Thank you.
Dipti will open us up with our welcome, thank yous, and introduction of our panelists. We will have to discuss in our subcommittee if we want to introduce all the panelists at once or right before they speak. Beck and myself will begin to, well, the panelists will begin to start making their presentation. Between each panelist, between Beck and myself, the Writers Theater is requesting that we wipe down the mics, and they will provide the alcohol wipes for that. And so we will monitor that particular piece. After all three panelists have presented, there will be the Q&A, which we had just briefly discussed, and we will fine tune all of that. And then there'll be closing remarks. So we have to find out who's doing closing remarks. Will our someone from the village trustees or our village president or from our chair who will be giving closing remarks? We need to just finalize that. And then it'd be the dismissal.
I think it would be really nice if either Howard or Phil could close out, just kind of shows value from the village, but I don't know if they're able to attend. Okay, I already see a nod from.
I know Phil cannot. He will be at the same conference I am. I do not believe President Rowan could, but I know maybe someone else could, possibly Rich or someone from the village. I can double check. I'll ask.
Okay, I mean, or actually, just to keep it casual, we could just have you, Reverend Gary, and Vivek, just as you're moderating and ending it, just have closing remarks and thank everyone. I mean, just keep it simple.
Yeah, we can
move
do that.
forward,
I
and
just
then
didn't want to overlook, because we are subcommittee of a subcommittee to the major whole of the village. So just wanted to make sure we were covering our bases of allowing them to have a word as well to this event.
Yeah. I'm okay if they're not available, if we just end it.
Okay.
Unless Mr. Gary Rubin wants to step in as a trustee and speak. He's like, don't do this to me.
I'm going to let the professionals do it.
So as we talked about volunteers, we do need to, I don't know if breaking 3 people at the table at this event mess up anything, but is there anyone here that won't mind manning the table as visitors come in, making sure that they are signing in, making sure that they have their mask on? Emily, we didn't talk about it earlier today, but maybe if the village can provide some additional masks in case individuals do not have theirs as they come in the door, and remind them that it has to cover the nose through the chin. I saw John's hand.
I believe
Happy to volunteer to do that, Reverend Gary.
Thank you, sir.
I believe Carrie will be working on getting
Yeah, we can get you
masks.
some masks. That's easy.
Yeah.
All right.
Wait, I'm sorry, did you say Carrie? What did you say about Carrie?
We'll provide the masks.
Getting masks, he's getting masks.
Carrie, you can close out our meeting too. I'm sorry, I did not mean to like.
No, that's fine. I
exclude you when we were thinking about the village, but you're welcome
No.
to close out our meeting.
think it makes sense with having the moderators do it.
So this is Amy. Can I interject 2 things before we get too far into all the signups? Because I know we need some hands on deck, but I just wanted Reverend Gary to mention 2 things. You said you weren't positive about the intro, whether you didn't introduce people, the panelists, excuse me, before or when they're going to speak. And just for one more input, I would at least start by saying who the 3 people are, not their profiles and everything, but just if I don't know any of them and I'm sitting there, I think I just kind of like roughly who are they, right? So, Barbara, and she's head of the clergy and blah, blah. And then when it's time for them to speak, it would be great to have a little more of a profile, right? So that you could do an appropriate intro. So that's just my 2 cents worth. And then
to answer that, Amy, we have asked each panelist to provide us 3 to 5 sentence paragraph about them so that Dipti will have something to introduce them by.
Perfect.
Yep.
And then as you think of the wrap up, what I'm not positive is if there might be any action items that got suggested as a result of input that came in this dialogue. So whether you have I think I had suggested kind of one of those, boards, right, for ideas so that you can capture some, but one of the two of you might be in a position to say something about, hey, we will follow up and keep people informed, or, who knows, but that might end up being somewhat of the wrap up, as opposed to just thank you for coming, because I'm hoping there might be some ideas that we hear from people, so that's it.
Are we asking people to do evaluation of it and give us ideas, or have a couple of poster boards up to write ideas?
So I didn't mean that they would write anything, but more if somebody says, well, I just, here's my thought, I have had such and such experience, oh, great, then we can note it, so we can, sometimes you have trouble moving on when somebody has an idea that's just, it's maybe not exactly what we were aiming for, but it's a way to put it down and move on, or maybe it's a great something they raised and we don't want to miss doing it. So I wasn't really thinking that it was an action item.
I do like the idea of having an evaluation or some feedback form where they can just fill it out on their way out, drop it off at the table.
Sure.
And then we can just gather it and then go through it. But that just works for people in person. Again, we have Zoom attendees, so I don't know how that would work, but at least for the people in person, it would.
Could there be a Slido? Is that something that could be on the Slido site, which is a very simple,
Sure.
two things that were good, two things that were, that kind of thing. And
Yeah, I think we can do not only that, but I think we can also do, if you have any questions, not just for the panel to answer right now, but something for the council to look into. They can submit the question that way. We're going to have a record of it, and then we can take it up collectively.
Yeah.
And that'll be easy to go through to understand. We can even ask them, mark your question as a follow-up, like type follow-up, and then the question that way. Let's say we have 10 of them. I'll just put the 10 questions in an email and send it to the entire council, and then we'll know those are 10 questions that people wanted some sort of follow-up. And then I think there is a way to do an evaluation. I just have to figure out how not to turn that on too early, right? I mean, we don't want people to fill out the evaluation.
Or would it be appropriate to say, please provide your feedback and give like a Rich or Emily's or the village email address or something like that, so that it comes in by email and then we can, have it looked at just like we would look at the paper that they leave behind. I mean, it's not a long form or anything, right? It's just basically if they want to put their name in, or if not, or, what did they think of it? Would they like to see more of it? And what would they like to see more of? Just jot down 2 or 3 points.
Yeah. Feedback is always hard to get, as probably everybody in the training world knows. It's just, so if they're in the building, odds are better that they maybe jot something quick, and if not, but still, all these are good ways. I would just keep it as simple as one can, because it's a few people driving this forward, and you just want that not to take up too much of.
No, I think you're right, Amy, because if people leave that door, they go through that door.
They never.
We've all done it. And are we really going to go back and type the email?
Hey, I've left an empty form on the chair, okay, and left.
Fair too.
So I'm just thinking it's hard to get people to respond once the event's over, and even when they're leaving. So making it as simple as possible. I agree with Amy on that.
Yeah. So okay.
Let me just suggest the subcommittee kind of finalize how we'll do that, and then we'll share it with the group prior to the event.
Great.
I have a quick question. Does the sign-in, do we usually get contact info for the attendees, or is that not part of it?
I think that the sign-in should, for several reasons. One, we still are in COVID. And if somebody is found to be positive, with the virus while we're at our event, we have to contact the individuals who attended that event so that they will know. So those people who are coming need to know that they have to put their name and some type of contact, whether it's an email or a number. So that's just safety precautions for COVID. Two, for us, it also helped us to update our mailing list, email blast to those people who may not be registered and can get them contacted, as well as stay in contact with them. So it's a dual purpose.
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess what prompted my question is in terms of getting feedback, if we had a list of email addresses and the numbers aren't too overwhelming in terms of attendance, hopefully they are, we could all divide them up and even send a personal, sort of message to these folks. Thanks for coming. Here's a link to the survey. And maybe we'd get some traction in terms of responses.
Yeah. So that's my sharing. I do know that I saw John and Hillary's hand to help man the table. Is there another hand just in case?
Sure, I'd be happy to.
Thank you, Bob. And everybody else would be like floaters if we can just call you that. Just to help welcome people into Ryder Theater, welcome them to the event, thanking them for sharing and coming. And if things are needed, we can kind of just depend on you to help fill in the gap. So that's our sharing.
Thank you. Any questions? Anybody has any questions? Comments?
I helped staff the table at the Village Green twice. During the times I was there, 2 people signed the inclusion pledge. I was wondering what the experience of other people who came after I left. What was
Bob, hold that thought, because that's number 2 on our agenda. I'm going to talk about the farmers market and you're talking about the farmers market and our table, right? Yeah, just give 2 minutes. Once we're done with this, that's our next agenda item.
You can take.
Okay, so I'm sorry if I might have missed this. So one of the things was who's going to be filming, taping, etc. Is that Richard McGowan, or is there anybody else? I'm sorry if I might have missed that cue, but don't we need to know who's gonna tape it?
Yeah, Rich.
Oh,
He's
Rich
gonna put
is,
it on a
okay.
tripod.
And that will be enough to have the one. Okay, sorry.
And
Go
he
ahead.
will be there also at maybe 6:15, 6:30 to set it up in the right place and
Great.
make sure it's charged and everything. So we're good to go.
Thank you. Thanks. Okay.
And we are not going to have those doors open for those of us that was here last meeting when we were, when Phil suggested maybe we could keep the doors open, but the Writers Theater has come back and let us know that they have a really good HVAC system, which is even better than keeping the doors open. So we would not need that. That would not be necessary. And the limit to the number of people inside, Reverend Gary, is 50, right?
That is correct. That's their capacity for it.
Let's get it filled up with 50 people.
So council members, if we all just take a flyer for each house in our neighborhood block this week, just to knock on their door and give it to them, we have actually did our part beyond as we continue to inform everybody about it.
Great. Thank you. So if we're no other questions on this, we can move on to our next topic, which was going to be the farmers market. I actually wanted to give kudos to the team that just went up and just set it all up. I mean, I was there last Thursday and I was just like, wow, we had everything. So Hillary, thank you for taking the lead on that. That was really, really very nice of you to just take it on and run with it. You created that, sign up sheet, which was, I think, the easiest for all of us to just go in and put our names there. I know that Bob and Margot and Reverend Gary and I think, and of course, Hillary were there in person. And that was, I think, really, I think it just made a difference of having us there in that community. And we had, so Bob, to answer your question, we had a lot of people come and sign that board. And some were not Glencoe residents, some were just, vendors at the farmers market, some were visiting, and some were very involved in Glencoe but didn't live here. And so we gave the flyers to a lot of people, so hoping they all come to our event. But it was a really good turnout. One of the suggestions that Margot had was, because we've had these boards put up in several different places around town where people have been signing the pledge, if we can have all of them, I don't know if there is a way of finding them. Emily, this is a question for you. I don't know if we can locate them and maybe show the support in sheer numbers of all these, people that have signed the pledge, and, kind of show it in one place. That would probably make an impact. And we could even take that to the Writers Theater and show it there. And maybe people could continue signing the pledge there. So I don't know how easy or hard it is to find them.
We have all the boards, Dipti. It was actually just sort of a logistical thing. The easels didn't really support them very well. So we only had one easel that was reliable. And we sort of had to tape the one version that we had up so that it would stay put. But I think it could be just as effective to have the stack of them, next to them on the table. It's very clear. I mean, we certainly have it, so we can play around with it.
Yes, they are my office partner. They're right next to me. So very
Thanks.
accessible.
And are they signed?
Yes.
Oh yeah, that's perfect. Yeah.
There's some empty spots, so it kind of looks like people have signed already, which is a good sign. Literally, no pun intended.
So I just wanted to kind of cover some of the things about last week's farmers market. There were at least 6 signatures added last week while I was there, and we
Probably
have
6 more after you left. Probably more than 6 actually.
Okay,
yeah.
good. That's great.
Yeah.
And we, I think one thing that maybe some people on the committee don't know is this pledge has been around for a few years. And so there are significant numbers of signatures, and a lot of the organizations in town had them displayed at their work. So the library had one, the Park District had one. And so we do have a lot of signatures, and I think that showing that would be impactful. Dipti and I were talking about the flyer, which is fantastic. I think it would be useful to have our mission statement on the flyer when we're just to sort of promote the general mission of our council, to help people understand what this council is about and what we're doing. And we also talked about the possibility of finding a little bit better real estate. We're sort of off the beaten path. There seems to be the farmers market attendees seem to sort of go in a circle, either clockwise or counterclockwise, and we're sort of off to the side. And we spoke to the market manager, and he said that we can be wherever we want. That's not already taken. And so we could possibly locate ourselves on the grass, sort of in the middle as people are passing from one side of the market to the other, or even just closer to where the market is, so that people coming over are more likely to stop by and visit us. The other thing that Hillary and I were talking about is, because our tablecloth, which I did take home and wash, there's some stains on it that aren't coming out, but I'll work on those some more before tomorrow. But it says Village of Glencoe, and understandably, visitors to the farmers market are confused and think that we're running the farmers market. And so we had a complaint about some vendors not wearing their masks, and some questions about vendors that were arriving as to how they checked in. So if there's any way for us, and I'm trying to think if in the past we've ever had, well, no, we have a new name now, so it wouldn't matter, some sort of large signage that indicates that we are a commission or a council as opposed to the actual village. I mean, it's great that it notifies that we are part of the village, but I don't know if that would sort of.
Maybe like a large, at least to begin with, a chart paper or something.
Yeah,
that
last time
pin
we-
on the tablecloth that just basically says we're the Council for Inclusion. And
Right. And we could use that artwork with the different colored hands that seems to be attached to a lot of our
Yeah.
promotional things now. And I don't know if we're going to come
Who
up.
has little kids who wants to do some artwork?
Well, we used to do that actually at a lot of our tables, is have a little project for the children to do, because when the kids come up and they're working on the project, it gives us even more time to talk to the adults in the family.
That's a great idea.
So we've done that at other village events like the Pumpkin Fest and other things where we've had a table, which is also something we might want to consider because that'll be coming up in October.
Anis, you had something to say?
Yeah, I just had a question, and I wondered, because Gary, I apologize because I never talked to you. Well, this wasn't my idea anyway at the time. This is just an in the moment idea. So I was wondering if we might be able to put something together, like some kind of I don't know what they're called, like the window things that you can like put on your car, your window, and it just peels off. It doesn't stick. It's not a magnet, doesn't do any damage. I wonder if we could get something like that we give to people when they sign the pledge. You know, I signed the pledge, and like it says who we are, and like people can put it in their windows, or they can put it on their car window or their door. And I do think it would be nice. I mean, people sign it, and people, if they see the pledge, they might say, oh, that's my neighbor's name, or that's my whatever. But I think it might be cool, especially like on the move, in terms of walking past people's windows or seeing it in a car, that, you know, there's more, that it creates a more welcoming environment, that they know that people support what we're trying to do.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. We could certainly work with Emily and the village to see what we can get printed, and if they can provide the budget, and we could, you know, hand it out as people sign the pledge. Right, Emily? Is that something doable? Yeah, okay, great. And Reverend Gary, you had something to say?
Yeah, two, one, if we could get those signboards for the series, might be helpful as well. But I was wondering, does the village have a tabletop display where years ago corporations had tabletop displays? They were Velcro, you could take it off, put a different sign up. If the village had some of those quote unquote old tabletop display, we can probably do something real inexpensive by making signs, laminating it, put a Velcro on the back of it, and then putting it up saying that we are the Council of Glencoe, and then we'd be able to have certain things as a tabletop display. Didn't know if we had somewhere that could be used.
I may be dating myself. I don't know what those are, but I can Google. By your description, sounds great. But yeah, I could look and see if we have that by description. So we have many closets, so we'll see. Thank you.
Great.
And also, sorry, I should say, I believe Rich may have given you his contact information. If not, I can forward that to you guys because I'll be out of the office. So
yes, please. Thank you.
And Emily, who should am I working with Jordan tomorrow?
Yes, you are.
Okay, so I'll touch base with her in the morning and just make sure we coordinate on all this stuff. And then Margot and Bob, I think you're my volunteers for tomorrow. I will send you an email update with anything I think you need to know prior to the start.
Thank you. Thank
So
you.
look for that sometime, I don't know, 11-ish. It's good to have goals.
Thank you.
Great. Well, thank you. Any other questions on the farmers market? How many more farmers markets do we have left?
It goes until September 30th.
Okay, so we have this month. Oh, okay, well, that's good. Just thinking ahead, after next week's town hall, do we have something we're going to be talking about at our, like, the 2 weeks that are remaining in the farmers market? Are we still continuing to have a booth there as we come to an end of the summer? Do we have a plan for that? What's the plan?
I can try and answer this as best I can. I wasn't really under the, yes, promoting the town hall was an aspect of being at the farmer's market, but I also thought there was just, we were trying to increase visibility and give an opportunity for people to chat with us. So while, of course, we're open to any suggestions, if there's anything in particular you'd like us to focus on, I don't know that it's required.
No, that's great. That's great. So I just wanted to see, we're going to continue them until the end of the farmers market. Okay.
We have 2 dates that we are not on the schedule for September because we had conflicts with other village groups. So tomorrow we'll be there. The Thursday after we won't, and that's our town hall. So that makes good sense. And then we're off again on the 23rd. So I think it's tomorrow, the 16th and the 30th, I believe are the Thursdays we'll be there for the rest of the month.
Okay. 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 So that's not a lot. So, okay. Sounds good.
Emily, when you're looking through the closets, and I don't know if it would, well, it might. There's some other, what were Human Relations Forum items that we've collected over the years. And one of them is a quilt that we had,
Yeah.
the diversity of Glencoe. We had families come and make quilt squares, but it doesn't say Human Relations Forum on it, I don't think. And that just might be something that would draw attention to our table. And I'd love to see if we could dig it out somewhere. It's somewhere in that building. That's my understanding. And we've had other banners, and we've had, and most of them probably do identify us as the Human Relations Forum and then the Community Relations Forum, but there may be some that don't. And if you'd like help looking, because I know what they look like, I'd be happy to come over and help you look.
Oh yes, in the depths of our basement, I'm sure there's something. No, but legitimately, I will keep an eye out when I am back next and search. I think it's really cool. I haven't seen it yet, so.
Great. All right. Moving on, I want to touch on the, well, not Maureen now, but just Anise and Gary subcommittee that is putting out, I don't know if you've had the latest read that they have put out, and it is, I think, really getting a lot of traction. I guess Facebook has a lot of hits, so I wanted to congratulate you, especially Anise. I think you're really, driving this and writing it, and I think it's really
It is all
showing.
Anise.
It is really showing with the response that we're getting. So I know that you are one subcommittee member short, so feel free to reach out if you want to continue with the 3 subcommittee, and I'm going to just leave it up to you guys. And also, if you need ideas from others in the council, feel free to reach out if they have ideas on who to interview, if they have anyone in mind. Like if you have someone in mind that would be a great person to be interviewed, just, reach out to Anise with the details so that, we have that ball rolling. Anything you'd like to add?
Do you want me to check in about our subcommittee, or was that just about us being down one person?
Well, I mean, you're welcome to check in on your subcommittee.
Okay, no, I just didn't know if we were there yet. I don't have.
Yeah, no, we are here.
Okay.
We are here. I just wanted to congratulate you because
Thank
I know
you.
that it gets a lot of traction and it's getting a lot of hits. So
Well, that's exciting.
just wanted
Thank
to keep the ball rolling. So if people have other people they want to introduce, they should
definitely
keep going.
Well,
yeah.
Thank you for the kind words. It's a lot of fun, and I'm getting to know people that I absolutely didn't know. at all. And, you know, it's like, it's a gift to do it. I really enjoy it. And Gary is an editor and a cheerleader and a friend, and I'm very appreciative of his support and help, and Maureen's as well. So I actually interviewed Brooke Lawler and just finished her interview, and sent it to her to take a look at, and sent it to Gary, and then I'll send it to Emily. And that was a really great interview. She's cool, and I'm excited for her to be on the panel. Next, I'm going to interview Tom Quinn, who I was supposed to interview a bit ago, but he had a loss in his family, so we pushed it. He's a resident and also owns Yoga View that's in Wilmette, and then also in the city. And then next week, I'm interviewing Pepe at Guildhall. Everyone's like, you have to interview Pepe. He is like, and I met him, and he's like an angel. Like he has this, I am so excited to interview this guy. I think I'm going to be like a better person afterwards. I mean, he just seems phenomenal.
Do you know
And
that
then-
he's the reason we moved to Glencoe? We bought our house here. He's the reason.
No.
Pepe is the reason. My husband and I were, what do we call it? Look-see. We had a look-see visitor. Company sends us, you know, when you're abroad, and then they send you for a look-see. So we were only here for a week, and we were looking at lots of houses in Wilmette mostly. And we happened to have the couple of houses we were seeing in Glencoe, and we had dinner at Guildhall. It happened to be our anniversary, and Pepe was a server, and he would not stop talking. And he and I exchanged phone numbers, and he even wanted to like start a cooking club with me, and he was so excited. We're moving from India, and he had like all these ideas, and he said, oh, where are you going to live? And we're talking about, you know, how we haven't decided. And he's like, you have to move to Glencoe. There is no other town you can live in. You will not regret this. This is the place you have to be. I am not kidding. It was, I mean, literally after he sold us on Glencoe, we signed on the house the next day.
Wow. That's a story in and of itself. I mean,
Yeah.
he if you guys, has anybody not met him, like by a show of hands? Anyone not met him? I mean, he is something. I mean, and I only just met him, and I like was talking to him for like 10 minutes, and I just walked away with such a smile. So I'm excited. And then
So maybe the village should hire him.
Maybe
He's like a free marketer for the village.
He loves Glencoe. Like he was like going on and on about the people in Glencoe, but okay, you'll find out all about it when we interview him. But and then I'm also interviewing Madeline, who owns the barbershop across from Writers Theater. I have a dear friend who's been going to her for a long time, and she has like an amazing story. And then I'm working with Reverend Gary. I sent you an email. One of his congregants I hope to interview, Mrs. Shepherd. And I think so far that's what we've got in the hopper.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
Anise, do you know when you will be publishing Brooke's interview?
Well, I think, and Emily, you can correct me. This month I was a little late because I was supposed to interview Tom, and then I had to grab another person. And that's why this time I was like, I'm gonna have all these people waiting in queue in case, you know, something happens. So it's usually the 12th, I think. Is that when it goes out? Somewhere around there?
Give or take, yes.
Okay, give or take. So it's mid-month, basically.
Okay,
So
I just wanted to understand, like from a timing perspective, because Brooke's going to be one of our panelists. So
it'll be after.
I don't know if it makes more sense to have it before, so people already know her, or after, when people have seen her as a panelist, and then now they're reading more about her. So, you know, it goes both ways. So there's no right or wrong about it, but just wanted to know the timing of it.
Would be difficult because I'll be out of the office, unfortunately.
Okay, yeah, no pressure. So
yeah.
it's basically going to be after, which is fine.
Yeah, either way is good, I think.
Yeah, I know there's no right or wrong. Either way, I just wanted to get a feel for it. So that's fine. Okay, that's great. Well, thank you. Thank you, Anise. Any questions on that, anyone? Okay, great. We have one more item, and John, thank you for putting that budget together. Believe it or not, we have not been able to discuss it yet. So today is our chance. And I know that Emily, you have some edits that you just made. Would you mind sharing your screen? What I'm really looking for from our council members is anything that you need to add or any changes or questions. Let's try to get it in by the 10th of September. Because we want to have that then socialized with the village and then, included in the budget, so then it can be socialized with the board. So if you can all, and Emily will share this in email afterwards, but if you can all take a look at, so these are some of the ideas that when John and Gary and I had met, these are some of the estimated like events and fees and expenses that we thought we would need for the next year to come up. So again, this is not set in stone. If you have other things that you think we would need a budget for and would need an amount set aside for us, please send your response by the 10th, by Friday the 10th, so that we can get all of that incorporated and then we have one list to share with the village.
Yeah, and if you
You're
guys
welcome
have,
to go through it, or Gary, you're welcome to go through it.
if you guys have any questions about, yeah, I guess, I don't know why I just said that, so go for it.
No, you're good. You're good.
Yeah, if you guys have any
I just
questions.
wanted to see if you can read the screen, then I mean, great. If not, if you want any explanations, any questions on any of these, feel free.
I think one other item that Reverend Gary had noted in one of our exchanges was the possibility of needing to rent space and just having a placeholder for that. I think we determined it was probably unlikely because the village would be able to provide it, but maybe something that we want to note just in the event we need some additional space and have to pay something for it.
Yeah, we talked about that, Emily and I, and frankly, the reason it dropped off is for exactly the reason that we're using Writers Theater, for example, that's not being charged. And because the assumption is for most of the things that we could think of off the top of our heads, we would probably be doing it in this coming year in and around the village. It's all best guess in any event in terms of not necessarily going out, having an event that would require us to rent a hall, so to speak, in which case, gosh only knows what that would be.
Is there, if we wanted to have like a banner that just says the name of our council that could be used at various events, or I don't know, this is a real stretch, Village of Glencoe t-shirts or some sort of item that council members could wear when we're at events to make it clear that we're working at the event, would that fall under educational promotional literature, or could that, like, can we already put that in another one of our categories here, or should we have a separate line item for something like that, or do we not care?
No, I care, because remember at the 4th of July parade, the Sustainability Task Force walked around with their t-shirts and it said Sustainability Task Force. And the first thing I looked at Gary and I said, where's the forum? Like, we were the forum that time. I'm like, where's the forum? Walking the parade.
I mean, I
with the
try and
forum
wear my
t-shirts.
Glencoe blue when I'm at the farmer's market, but it doesn't say Glencoe. It's just the color of our.
Yeah, I think that's a great suggestion. And that, I mean, would fall under promotional literature, if we want to call the t-shirts a literature, but it should be incorporated here somewhere.
And I'll add, Margot had the idea today, which I thought was a great one, about the magnet or the sticker if you sign the pledge. That was not part of my estimate on promotional literature. So insofar as that would be an additional expense, we may want to account for it.
Well, both very good ideas. I think a lot of the printing and such that we typically do would probably be the village doing it for us. And frankly, the village's budget for that as opposed to our budget. So, again, the $1,000 was as much a placeholder for something more material. Some of these ideas are excellent. Probably would be using it for that because those might be things, those are things the village wouldn't be doing, presumably, I guess.
So if we wanted t-shirts printed with our council name, the village would cover that?
I'm saying it wouldn't, I don't think that's something that the village doesn't produce their own t-shirts as opposed to the village being able to have things printed.
I was kidding about like
Oh,
that.
okay.
Like
Sorry.
so that's okay. Dry humor. It's getting late. Anyways, why don't we do this? Emily, if you don't mind emailing this to everyone in the council and asking for feedback, please in the email, if you can note to respond by the 10th, Friday. And then that way we can, and when you respond to Emily, could you please copy Gary and John on that email response, because Emily's probably going to be out of the office next week or out on and off. So then Gary and John will receive the response as well. And you can copy me if you would like to. So that way we're picking up,
Nope.
waiting for.
Don't do that. Only two of us.
Okay.
Open meetings.
Good point.
Only
there.
two. Only put two of
So
us.
I did not think about it in terms of email. So thank you for reminding me, Mr. Lawyer. So yes, if you can just copy Gary and John on the response to Emily, if you have comments, then that would be great. That way it can be picked up when Emily is not around. So please, please put your comments in and send that in. And then I have one quick thing I wanted to just put out there, because our event will be done next week. Something for us to think about, and I really want us to think about that hard. I have to tell you, when I saw the Family Services of Glencoe on the Compass and in that newsletter, the print newsletter, and I thought, we need to be out there and we need to be published and we need some airtime and some marketing time. So I would really like to start talking about that. I want to have a subcommittee formed for that. I want someone to take the lead. And so we'll be looking for volunteers who can take the lead. Some of the ideas we have talked about in the past is, revamping our website, putting each of the council members' pictures there with a little bit of bio, a couple lines, just nothing about like our work or anything, but something fun, a fun fact about me or something, so that when people see us in person, they know that, oh, I know this person, I've seen their face, they're so and so, I've seen their picture on the website, and just doing a little bit more marketing. So there are some of these ideas that have been discussed in the past, but we just have never been able to take it on and take it off. But because we are coming to an end with one of our events next week, I really, really want to get this started. So looking for, again, someone to lead it, take it on, and then create a little, group and move forward. Don't make me pick one. I won't do that today, but I'm just saying. What do you guys think? We should be out there, right? People should know who we are.
Then that could be used as one of the budget line items that someone need to email.
Or it can be added right now. So if everyone's in agreement with that, then we can start kicking that off and finding volunteers from the council to take that forward, so that then we can start soliciting ideas from the rest of the group, and that way we are literally out there with the community, because our number one goal is to reach out to the community. I know we've been struggling with that, but we're trying to find ways. And sometimes it's nice if somebody recognizes a face and they know, oh, I think I know that person. And then, you know, they can feel like they can approach us. So bring that out there. That is it. Does anybody want to discuss any other business? No? All right. Are there any public comments that were submitted during the meeting?
We're
Emily?
not.
Great. Okay. Well, then we can adjourn. May I have a motion to adjourn?
So
I
moved.
move.
Move.
Who was
Second
first?
it.
Who was first?
Bob made the motion. I second it.
Okay, great. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. And we hope to see you again next week on
Do you have
Thursday.
to do a roll call for that?
Oh, yes, of course. May I have a roll call, please? You know what, Reverend Gary, you should just run the forum.
No, ma'am, you're doing a great job.
I think you should just do it. May I have a roll call, please?
Of course. Clark,
Yes.
York,
Yes.
Flanagan,
Yes.
Gary,
Yes.
Molly,
Yes.
Moses,
Yes.
myself.
I think she left.
Oh, okay. Ruben,
Yes.
Scott.
She left too.
Oh, sorry, guys. Young.
Oh, that's okay. She texted.
Yeah.
Both of them texted me that they had to drop off.
All
Young,
right.
yes.
Okay. Thank you, guys. I'm looking forward to hearing.
Thanks,
from-
everybody.
Thanks.
Great. Well,
Good
thank
night.
you, and we'll see you in person next week. Bye.